The game is not over until the final whistle. A football podcast about life, failure, and second chances. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special New Year episode. Today, I want to ask you a simple question. What if your life is just a football match? In football, there is one rule that never changes. The game is not over until the referee blows the final whistle. And life? Life works exactly the same way. As long as you are still breathing, as long as you are still standing, your game is not finished. Today, I want to share stories from the world's biggest football stages. Stories that are not just about goals and trophies, but about rejection, pain, patience, and belief. Because a new year is not just a new calendar, it's a new season of your life. Mohamed Salah, rejected, then crowned king of Anfield. There's a quote I want you to remember. Being rejected doesn't mean you're not good enough. Sometimes it just means you're not in the right place yet. Many people forget this, but Mohamed Salah once played for Chelsea. And back then, he was labeled as not good enough, not fast enough, not strong enough, not ready. So, Chelsea let him go. To many people, that looked like the end of the dream. But for Salah, it was only the beginning of the work. He didn't complain, he didn't argue, he didn't beg for another chance. Instead, he went back to improve himself. Florence, Rome, day after day, training after training. When no one was watching, he was running. When no one believed, he was building. And then, in 2017, Liverpool gave him another chance. That season, he scored 44 goals. 44! He broke records, he carried his team, he helped deliver Champions League glory, and ended a 30-year wait for a league title. The same player, once called not good enough, became one of the greatest forwards in football history. So if you've ever failed somewhere, if you've ever been rejected, if someone made you feel like you were not enough, remember this. Chelsea may not need you, but your Anfield might still be waiting. Leicester City, 2015 to 2016, when the impossible became reality. Before the season started, Leicester City had odds of 5,000 to 1 to win the league. 5,000 to 1. No superstars, no massive budget, no expectations, just survival. Jamie Vardy, once a factory worker. Riyad Mahrez, unknown to the world. N'Golo Kante, too small, too quiet, too overlooked. But they had something no odds could measure: belief. They ran more than everyone else, fought harder than everyone else, and trusted each other when no one believed in them. While others talked, they worked. While others doubted, they delivered. And at the end of the season, they lifted the Premier League trophy. What does that teach us? That your starting point does not decide your ending. That being underestimated is not a weakness. Sometimes it's your greatest weapon. Lionel Messi, a small body, a giant heart. When Lionel Messi was 11 years old, he was diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency. He was smaller, weaker, different. Many clubs said no. The treatment was too expensive, the risk was too high. But Barcelona took a chance, and Messi took responsibility. Daily injections, years of pain, endless training. He didn't grow taller than everyone else, but he grew stronger inside. Today, he's an 8-time Ballon d'Or winner, a World Cup champion, and for many, the greatest of all time. His story proves one thing. Your limitations do not define your future. Your mindset does. Real Madrid versus Manchester City. When time runs out, courage begins. Champions League semifinal, 2022. 10 minutes left. Real Madrid were losing. Fans were leaving the stadium. But Real Madrid have something special, a belief written in their DNA. Minute 90, goal. 1 minute later, another goal. Extra time, Benzema finishes it. From impossible to legendary. Football taught us that night that 10 minutes can change everything. One moment can rewrite your story. So if you feel like time is running out in your life, remember this. As long as you're still breathing, it's not too late. Cristiano Ronaldo. Talent didn't make him. Discipline did. Cristiano Ronaldo grew up poor, mocked for his accent, mocked for his clothes. But he had something rare, relentless discipline. When others rested, he trained. When others relaxed, he pushed. Even today, his body tells the story of sacrifice. He proves that talent may open doors, but discipline keeps them open. Final message. Life is a football match. You might be losing, you might be tired, you might feel like giving up. But listen carefully. The game is not over until the final whistle. As long as you are still breathing, it's not too late. This year, play your new season with courage. Because history is not written by perfect beginnings, but by people who refused to stop.
Failure is not the end. It's the training ground. Cristiano Ronaldo. Pain, criticism, and relentless obsession. Let me ask you something. Have you ever failed in front of everyone? Not privately, not quietly, but publicly. Where people pointed at you, talked about you, laughed at you, judged you. Cristiano Ronaldo has been there, more than once. And this episode is not about his goals, not about trophies, not about highlights. This is about the moments people don't like to remember. The tears, the criticism, the pressure. Because greatness is built there. Ronaldo was never perfect. When Cristiano Ronaldo arrived at Manchester United as a teenager, he was not a hero. He was talented, yes, but also raw. Selfish, some said. Too many step-overs, too little end product. Fans booed him, pundits mocked him, opponents kicked him. And then came the failures. Missed chances, lost finals, and one moment that burned into his soul. A missed penalty on the biggest stage in front of the whole world. He cried, and the cameras didn't look away. For many players, that moment becomes a scar. For Ronaldo, it became fuel. What he did next is why he's different. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't become great because he never failed. He became great because he failed and refused to stay there. He lost finals, then won them. He missed penalties, then demanded to take the next one. He was doubted, then dominated. Every criticism became a mirror. Every mistake became a lesson. Obsession is the price of excellence. There is a word people use for Ronaldo, obsessed. But let's be honest, you don't become the top goal scorer in football history by being balanced. You don't stay elite at 38, 39 years old by being comfortable. Ronaldo trained his body like a machine, but more importantly, he trained his mind. While others asked, "Is this enough?" Ronaldo asked, "How can I do more?" That's not talent, that's choice. The lesson for your life. You may not be the most gifted person in the room. You may not come from wealth. You may not get early chances. You may not be praised. But listen carefully. The people who succeed are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who stand up faster than the noise around them. Failure is not your enemy. Comfort is. If you're struggling right now, if you made a mistake last year, if you disappointed yourself, if you feel embarrassed by your past, this is what Cristiano Ronaldo tells you. Don't run from failure. Run through it. Use it. Train harder. Focus deeper. Commit fully. Because one day, the same people who doubted you will ask how you did it, and you'll know the answer. Cristiano Ronaldo was not born unstoppable. He became unstoppable by refusing to stop. So this year, when life tests you, remember this. Failure is not the end of the story. It's the training ground for greatness. As long as you're still breathing, the game is not over.
Lionel Messi, greatness built in silence. There are people in this world who fight loudly. They shout. They demand to be seen. And then there are people who fight in silence. Lionel Messi belongs to the second kind. This is not a story about magic goals, not about trophies, not about debates. This is a story about a boy who was told he was not enough and chose to keep going anyway. Messi didn't grow up hearing praise. He grew up hearing doubt. Too small, too weak, not built for this game. At an age when most children were running freely, Messi was fighting his own body. A growth hormone deficiency, daily injections, pain that no child should have to understand. And yet, he never complained. He never asked, "Why me?" He simply showed up every single day. Imagine being a child who knows talent isn't enough. Imagine knowing that effort alone might still fail. That was Messi's reality. And still, he trained. Not to prove others wrong, but because football was the only place where he felt whole. When he moved to Barcelona, he left behind his family, his country, his safety. A small boy in a foreign land with no guarantees, no promises, only hope. Hope that if he worked quietly enough, someone would notice. But silence has a cost, because when you don't speak loudly, the world forgets your pain. When you don't demand attention, people assume the journey was easy. It wasn't. For years, Messi carried Argentina on his shoulders. Finals lost, penalties missed, dreams shattered again and again. And every time the criticism grew louder. He can't lead. He disappears when it matters. He's not a true winner. Imagine hearing that after giving everything you have. Imagine loving something so deeply and being told you're not enough for it. Many would have quit. Not physically, but emotionally. They would have played safe, stopped caring. Messi didn't. He stayed, quietly. He didn't respond with words. He responded with work. He didn't argue with critics. He let time speak. Year after year, match after match. Pain didn't make him bitter. It made him patient. And then, when the moment finally came, not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, inevitably, everything aligned. Copa America, World Cup, redemption. Not because he changed who he was, but because he never did. Messi teaches us something powerful. You don't need to be loud to be strong. You don't need to be aggressive to be great. You don't need the world's approval to keep going. You just need belief, quiet belief. If you feel invisible right now, if your progress feels slow, if no one is clapping for you, remember this.
Silence does not mean weakness. It means you're building something real. Greatness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it grows quietly until the world has no choice but to notice. This was the story of Lionel Messi, not the superstar, but the human being, and maybe a reminder that your quiet journey still matters. As long as you keep going, your story is not finished.
Liverpool, when pain became the fuel. Some clubs are built on trophies. Some are built on money. Liverpool is built on pain, belief, and people who refused to give up. This is not just a football club. This is a story of waiting, of falling, and choosing to stand up again, together. For years, Liverpool lived with memories, beautiful memories, but painful ones. Almost, so close, next year. The words followed them everywhere. Finals lost, titles slipping away, dreams collapsing at the last moment. And every time it hurt, the pain didn't disappear. It stayed. It sat in the stands. It walked the streets. It lived in every fan who kept believing anyway. Then came moments that broke hearts. Slips, mistakes, 1 second that erased years of hope. And the world laughed. Liverpool will never come back. They're cursed. They don't have the mentality. But here's what people never understood. Liverpool never ran from pain. They absorbed it. Because pain, when carried together, becomes strength. When Jurgen Klopp arrived, he didn't promise trophies. He promised something harder. Belief. Not fake optimism, not excuses. Belief built on work, on patience, on trust. He said something simple. We have to turn doubters into believers. Not overnight, not magically, slowly. Brick by brick, scar by scar. They lost a Europa League final. They lost a Champions League final. Again. And this time, something changed. They didn't collapse. They came back stronger. Because pain no longer scared them. And then came the night the world remembers. Anfield, Barcelona, 3 goals down. Impossible. The word everyone agreed on. But Liverpool has never cared about impossible. What happened that night wasn't tactics. It wasn't luck. It was belief multiplied by unity. Every pass carried hope. Every tackle carried history. Every roar from the stands said, "You are not alone." When the final whistle blew, it wasn't just a comeback. It was release. Years of pain turned into one moment of truth. And still, the league title waited. 30 years. 30 years of patience. 30 years of jokes. 30 years of waiting. Until finally, it happened. Not quietly, not gently, but powerfully. Liverpool didn't just win, they endured. They showed the world that success doesn't come to those who rush, it comes to those who stay. Liverpool teaches us something deeper than football. You don't quit because it hurts. You don't stop because it's slow. You don't walk away because you're tired. You stay. You believe. You walk together. If you're in a season of waiting, if your dreams feel delayed, if you're carrying years of disappointment, remember this. Pain is not proof that you're failing. Sometimes it's proof that you're close. "You'll never walk alone" is not a song. It's a promise. And maybe it's a reminder for your own life too. As long as you keep walking, you're not finished yet.
Leicester City, when the impossible refused to stay impossible. Every once in a while, the world needs a reminder. A reminder that logic is not law, that numbers are not destiny, that the impossible is sometimes just waiting. This is that reminder. This is Leicester City. At the start of the season, their odds were simple. 5,000 to 1. Not unlikely, not difficult, impossible. Bookmakers laughed. Experts ignored them. Predictions didn't even include their name. Leicester City wasn't supposed to survive. They were supposed to disappear quietly. A small club, a modest squad, players written off by bigger teams, men who were told, "You're not elite. You're not enough. You don't belong here." But here's the thing about people who have nothing to lose. They play free. They play honest. They play for each other. There was no superstar ego, no obsession with headlines, just trust, just work, just belief. Jamie Vardy, once working in a factory. N'Golo Kanté, a name most fans couldn't pronounce. Riyad Mahrez, overlooked, undervalued. These weren't chosen ones, they were forgotten ones. And something dangerous happens when forgotten people stop listening. They run harder, they press longer, they believe deeper. Every win shocked the world. Every match raised the question, how long can this last? The answer kept coming back the same, longer. Pressure arrived. The season tightened. The spotlight grew. But Leicester didn't break, because pressure only breaks those who are pretending. Leicester was real. When bigger clubs panicked, Leicester stayed calm. When others feared losing, Leicester played to win. And slowly, inevitably, the impossible started to feel normal. On the final day, there were no fireworks, just silence. The kind of silence that follows disbelief. Leicester City were champions, not because they were the best on paper, but because they were the strongest in belief. They didn't rewrite football. They rewrote possibility. They reminded the world that dreams don't ask for permission. Hope doesn't need approval, and belief doesn't care about odds. If you've ever felt too small, too late, too far behind, remember Leicester City. 5,000 to 1 still became 1. Because sometimes the impossible isn't impossible. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to try. Your odds don't define you. Your belief does.
Liverpool, when belief came before trophies. Success rarely arrives loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly, through losses, through doubt, through patience. This is that story. This is Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp. When Klopp arrived at Liverpool, he didn't promise trophies. He promised belief. He promised work. He promised time. And to many fans, that wasn't enough. Liverpool lost finals, lost big games, lost belief in the eyes of outsiders. They were called almost team, good but not great, entertainers not winners. Final after final, pain after pain. Europa League, lost. Champions League, lost. League title, slipped away by 1 point. And that's when most clubs panic. They change managers, they change systems, they abandon identity. Liverpool did something different. They stayed. Klopp didn't change because of noise. He changed because of truth. Data, development, trust. He trusted the process when the process wasn't popular. He trusted players when fans questioned him. He trusted belief when results hadn't arrived yet. Because real builders don't rush foundations.
Slowly, things changed. Pressing became instinct. Passing became rhythm. Mentality became identity. Liverpool stopped hoping to win. They expected to win. And then, it happened. Champions League glory. 6 times. The pain had purpose. The losses had meaning. Because winning feels different when you've learned how to lose. And then came the moment that defined a generation. Premier League champions, after 30 years. 30 years of waiting, 30 years of pain, 30 years of belief. Liverpool didn't just win a title, they healed a city. This story isn't about football, it's about life. Sometimes you're doing everything right and still losing. Sometimes you're growing, but no one sees it yet. And the world tells you, change, quit, start over. But what if you're not wrong? What if you're just early? Liverpool teaches us this. Results are not always immediate. Growth is not always visible. And belief is often tested before it's rewarded. If you're in a season of effort without applause, stay. If you're building something no one understands yet, trust it. Because the greatest victories often come after the longest waits. Don't abandon the process. The process might be what saves you.
Luka Modric, Why Discipline Outlasts Talent. Not every legend arrives loudly. Some arrive quietly. No headlines, no hype, no shortcuts, just time. This is Luka Modric. He wasn't fast, he wasn't big, he wasn't powerful. As a child, coaches said he was too small, too weak, not enough. While others were chosen, he was ignored. While others were celebrated, he was questioned. But Modric understood something early. Talent opens doors. Discipline keeps them open. He trained when no one watched, studied the game when others rested, improved details others ignored. No ego, no excuses, just repetition. Football didn't bend for him, so he mastered it. He learned how to read space, how to control tempo, how to stay calm when chaos surrounded him. He didn't dominate physically, he dominated mentally. At Real Madrid, surrounded by superstars, Modric never tried to be louder, he tried to be better. Season after season, match after match, no shortcuts, no decline. And eventually, the world noticed. Ballon d'Or, not because he was flashy, but because he was consistent. Modric teaches us something rare. You don't need to be extraordinary, you need to be reliable. Life doesn't reward bursts, it rewards habits. If you're not the most talented, good. If you're not the fastest learner, good, because discipline can take you further than talent ever will. Show up every day. That's how legends are built. Marcus Rashford, when failure tried to define him. Some moments don't hurt because they failed. They hurt because the whole world was watching. This was one of those moments. This is Marcus Rashford, a young man, a big stage, a nation holding its breath. One penalty, one step, one strike, and then silence. The ball missed, the dream slipped, and suddenly a young footballer became a target. Criticism turned into cruelty. Disappointment turned into hate. Social media wasn't just loud,
It was vicious. People forgot something important. Marcus Rashford wasn't just a player. He was a human being. Racist messages, personal attacks, threats, all because of one moment. And this is where many break, where confidence shatters, where belief fades. But Rashford didn't disappear. He didn't hide. He stood still in the storm. He understood something most people learn too late. A mistake is an event. It is not an identity. Instead of fighting noise with anger, he responded with purpose. He focused on football, on growth, on becoming stronger. But more importantly, he focused on something bigger than himself. Children, families, those who needed a voice. While being criticized on the pitch, he was feeding thousands off it. While being attacked online, he was changing lives quietly. And slowly, the story changed. Goals returned, confidence followed, respect came back. But this wasn't a comeback story. This was a character story. Rashford teaches us this. The world may remember your mistake, but you get to decide what defines you. Everyone fails, everyone falls, but not everyone rises with dignity. If you've ever been judged by your worst moment, remember Marcus Rashford. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to recover. You are allowed to rewrite the narrative. You are more than your mistake.
Real Madrid, when time refused to run out. Most people give up not when time runs out, but when hope does. This story is about those final minutes, the moments everyone else walks away. Champions League, semi-final, second leg. Real Madrid versus Manchester City. The scoreboard was cruel. Time was disappearing. Madrid were losing. The tie felt over. Fans left their seats. Commentators prepared their conclusions. The world moved on. But Real Madrid didn't, because some teams are built differently. Some teams carry history in their veins. For Madrid, the match isn't over until the whistle agrees. 90 minutes, goal, one chance, then another, then belief. Rodrigo, 2 goals, seconds apart, and suddenly time stood still. Extra time, pressure flipped, fear changed sides. Benzema stepped up, calm, confident, inevitable. Penalty, goal. The impossible collapsed. Madrid advanced. City stood frozen. History repeated itself. This wasn't luck. This was identity. Real Madrid teaches us something vital. It's not about how much time you have. It's about what you do with the time left. 10 minutes, 1 minute, 1 breath. Life works the same way. You may feel behind. You may feel late. You may feel like your moment has passed. But moments don't pass. People do. As long as you're still here, so is possibility. It's never too late to change everything. The whistle hasn't blown yet. This is your game. At some point in life, everyone asks the same question. Is it over? You look at your age, your past mistakes, your failures, your losses, and quietly you start preparing to accept defeat. But football teaches us something brutal. The game doesn't end when you feel tired. It doesn't end when you fall behind. It doesn't end when the crowd doubts you. The game ends only when the whistle blows. Think about everything you heard in this series. Salah, rejected, then reborn. Leicester, impossible, then champions. Messi, fragile body, unbreakable heart. Ronaldo,
poor beginnings, ruthless discipline. Liverpool, pain before glory. Modric, consistency over talent. Rashford, failure without surrender. Real Madrid, time refusing to expire. Different stories, same truth. None of them were saved by talent alone. They were saved by one thing. They stayed in the game. They didn't quit when it was uncomfortable. They didn't stop when it was unfair. They didn't disappear when it hurt. They kept showing up. Life isn't a highlight reel. It's training sessions no one sees, losses no one claps for, effort that feels invisible. And that's where most people leave, not because they can't continue, but because they decide not to. But hear this clearly. If you're listening right now, you're still here. Your heart is still beating. Your lungs are still working. Your story is still being written. That means you still have time. You still have choices. You still have one more run. Maybe you're losing. So what? Many legends were losing right before they won. Maybe you're tired. Good. That means you tried. Maybe you're scared. Even better. That means something matters. Football doesn't reward perfection. Life doesn't either. It rewards courage. The courage to stay. The courage to try again. The courage to believe when belief feels stupid. So if you remember only one thing from this entire podcast, remember this. As long as the whistle hasn't blown, this is still your game. You don't need permission to start again. You don't need approval to dream again. You don't need certainty to take the next step. Just take it. Because history is written by those who stayed on the pitch when others walked away. This is your season. This is your match. And the whistle has not blown yet. Before the year ends, stay on the pitch. Before this year ends, I want you to pause, just for a moment. Not to celebrate, not to regret, but to recognize. You survived this year. That alone matters more than you think. This year tested you. Maybe it tested your patience. Maybe it tested your belief. Maybe it tested your strength until you questioned whether you had any left. Some days you won. Some days you barely stood. But you're still here, and that means something. Football teaches us this truth better than life ever could. You don't judge a match by one bad half. You don't judge a season by one defeat. Yet somehow we judge our entire lives by our worst moments. This year, you may have failed. You may have lost something, someone, a version of yourself. But failure is not a full stop. It's a comma. Think of Salah. Rejected, ignored, told he wasn't enough. He didn't argue. He improved. Think of Leicester. No one believed, not even logic, yet belief outran probability. Think of Messi, a body with limits, a heart without them. Think of Ronaldo. No comfort, no shortcuts, just discipline every day. Think of Liverpool. Years of pain, years of waiting, until belief finally met timing. Think of Modric, not gifted with power, gifted with consistency. Think of Rashford, broken in public but rebuilt in private. Think of Real Madrid, seconds away from elimination, yet seconds away from immortality. Different stories, same truth. None of them were winning because they were chosen. They were chosen because they refused to leave. This year didn't break you, it revealed you. You learned how strong you are when no one claps. You learned how quiet courage sounds. You learned that survival is also a victory. As this year closes, don't ask yourself, did I succeed? Ask yourself, did I stay? Because staying is harder than starting, and you stayed. Next year doesn't need a new you. It needs a braver you, the kind who keeps going even without guarantees. Football doesn't promise happy endings. Life doesn't either. But both promise this: if you stay on the pitch long enough, something can change. So when the clock hits 0 tonight, don't think about what you lost. Think about what you're still capable of becoming. This next year is not a gift, it's an opportunity. And opportunity doesn't belong to the best. It belongs to the ones who continue. Wherever you are listening from, I want you to hear this clearly. The year may end, but your game does not. As long as you're breathing, you're still playing. Happy New Year. Stay on the pitch.